Mondo, co-founder and CTO of Blaze. Been in the tech industry for the past 15-ish years, and half of that is in the tech space. Sort of recruited by Chris here. He dragged me to work on this project, and it's been fun. It's been a fantastic experience so far. Didn't know anything about cannabis prior to meeting him, so all the THC, CBD kind of acronym was like nothing for me back then. Next, please. Let's talk about data enrichment. Before that, let's talk about the state of the cannabis industry. And this is why specifically right now, cannabis is a lot more mainstream than before. When we first started, it wasn't that mainstream. There's a lot less competitions back then. Now we see a lot more competition. We see a lot more dispensaries. We see a lot more entrepreneurs in the space, and especially MSOs, right? We see a lot more of those as well. So because of that, nowadays it's really difficult to maintain your customer base. Really difficult, and mainly because of the competitions. But however, the market is pretty darn healthy. We're still growing at 26% on an annual basis. That's nice. And at Blaze, we're seeing really similar trends. So on the far right, this graph over here, we have broken up between walk-ins, delivery, and pickup orders. And if you draw a line, in general, it's an upward trend, but during COVID timeframe, there's a huge spike, right? And all of a sudden, it just like split down immediately in 2022. But overall, it's still pretty gradual incline. So sentiments in the consumer space, pretty strong. People are still buying. There's still transactions. Sales are pretty regular, right? Walk-ins make the bulk of the sales. 70% of the sales are in walk-in stores, 23 in delivery, and about 6.7 for pickup orders. So really healthy for our space right now. Good stuff. Though we do have a problem based on my analysis and the analysis in our Blaze Insights program. Average cart size, even though our sales are increasing, average cart size has decreased over the years. Specifically between 2020 and 2022, the margins between average cart size and margins, 15%. Pretty big number. And why is that? Is it COVID? Is it more competitions? We're still kind of answering that right now, but increased competitions, customers have more options, lower margins, pretty standard there. In terms of margins, delivery right now, in 2022, 43%, $42.24 in margins, pickup orders, $34.90, and walk-in orders, $25.60. That's not much.
That's gross profit?
That's net.
Gross profit.
Yeah. So that's all retail.
Are these averages?
The averages across the various sales that we sell.
So California centric.
California centric. Most of our dispensaries are in California right now. And that's talking a lot because a lot of sales are in California. So how do we solve this? And this is where dispensaries come and ask us, how do we increase our sales? How do we reach customers faster? Because our sales are, while it's increasing, we're maybe churning a lot more customers. Maybe we're seeing different rates and whatnot. And with competitions, how do we retain those customers? They also ask, how do we implement a loyalty program? Does it help? And if we implement our loyalty program, how do we do it? Do we reward our customers? How do we attract our new customers to use our loyalty program? So there's various ways of doing it. In terms of loyalty, you can do a really basic system like a punch card, right? You go to a ice cream parlor, you can just pass some punch cards and just punch it, right? Or you can start collecting data whereby you can use that data to inform and infer on how to sort of like analyze and market your customer base, right? Next. But we do, if that's all you do, it's not enough, right? It's really not enough, because right now, similar to what Tristan said earlier, for those who you guys not around, he said that there are cases where discounts are being utilized, but you're providing discounts for people who you probably may not want to provide discounts for, right? Specifically for customers who are consistently coming over to your store, maybe you don't want to provide discounts to those guys. You want to provide discounts to those who are far away, and those who want you to, who you want to come and visit your stores. And this is where my talk is all about, data enrichment, right? In order for you to analyze that data set and who to market and who to attract customers, you have to not just collect your data, you also need to enhance your data, right? What is aggregating it and then merging and correlating that data with different data sources, demographic data, behavioral data, other potentially even economic data. So you can see what's going on and better infer, better analyze, better market to those guys. All right, so examples here, 3 examples. Dispensary A don't basically do bare minimum. They comply to the state regulations, check the IDs, but don't really do anything about recording the data. Dispensary B use a POS system. They get the data in, they record their data, and they make sales, but don't really do anything about that, right? They can use a loyalty program in this space, but do they even they're not merging economic or behavioral data sets out there, so they don't have that enrichment data that they need. So does dispensary C use the current data, enrich it, and by enriching, they now have the right data to better inform, better look at like the current economic conditions, their current state in their finances, right, and be able to understand a lot better. And with that, if you want to go further, you can eventually, if you do it right in your retail store, create an experience to your customers that they really, really like, right? If you look at Best Buy, you look at those big locations or brands, they build these huge, humongous experience stores, right? And at that point, they build a loyalty program, and they can attract a lot of customers that way. So that's where you want to be. There's 4 types of data enrichment. Behavior enrichment, pretty basic. That's purchase locations, purchase behavior, how they're working on or using the applications that you provide in the store, etc. Geographic enrichment, things like consumer address, their zip code, where they've lived before, demographic, gender, family size, income, right? And then contact, I think contact of all of them is sort of required for cannabis anyways. You do need your phone number to make deliveries. You do need to have address. You do need to have their email addresses, right? So and of all of these, I feel like this is very important. Otherwise, you can't really market your consumer base. So how do we perform data enrichment? At Blaze, we integrate with a lot of different providers, but mainly we have we separate to different sales system or sales channel, if you will, online pickup, walk-ins, and in this case, you can have orders from different front, from our own Blaze e-com system, and once you come in, it's all in Blaze at the moment. With that, now you have other integrations with other partners, Alpine IQ, Springbig, Philo, right? And those sort of integrations give you the ability to start marketing to your consumers. Or you can do it manually. You can take a look at Happy Cabbage, for example, or BDS Analytics or Headset, because they sort of like pull data from us anyways, right? And with that, you can export, you can analyze those data sets in their program or in Blaze Insights. We have one of that as well, and do a manual process of analysis to get what you want. You can take that data and start marketing. Data enrichment steps, pretty basic. Gather, scrub. By gather is just collecting the data, right? It's where did you collect the data? You have to segment your data accordingly based on your collection, online sources, your specific deliveries. Most deliveries are now online. Pickup orders. Does it coming from a particular partner? Does it come from Weedmap? Does it come from iHeart Jane or Dutchie? Whichever, right? But you need somewhere to gather your data. Once you gather data, you have to scrub it. By scrubbing means you got to clean the data, because sometimes the data is pretty messy. Some data are missing email addresses. Some data are missing phone numbers. So you need a way to like scrub them, clean them up. Once you have that, you can enrich it, right? Adding different data sets in, right? Analyze the data. You can talk to dev. Or you talk to BDS Analytics and other programs out there and sort of analyze your data set to give you what you want, right? So once you have all that information, you have to next is provide. And by providing inform, you got to create the necessary services out there in your operations to make the most out of it, right? Otherwise, that data is just gonna sit there, right? And data enrichment is a continuous effort. It's a continuous effort. You can't stop. Once you stop, you're basically going to be falling behind. So when you start this data enrichment program, make sure you plan ahead. Make sure you have a system that you're continually collecting data. But with a point of sale software like Blaze or Trees, the moment you have a point of sale software, you're able to now collect that data. You can integrate it with different sources and get it going that way. Tying it up, data enrichment to me is a critical part of improving your loyalty program. Without data enrichment, even if you have a loyalty program, you're potentially going blindly because you're not seeing the entire picture, right? Based on my analysis, the top performing loyalty programs out there increase your sales by 15 to 25%. That's a huge number. If you don't do it, you're just basically leaving money on the table. Yeah, I think that's it. Any questions? Yep, go for it.
I guess I'm relatively new to this, but like for when you said like dispensaries typically like get their data, like do you know if dispensaries are at a point of maturity where like they have their own internal like data analytics or to be able to do that, or is that something that's still like kind of owned by like third-party data sales or like companies that help out with like point of sales?
So it depends on the size of the company. Most companies are medium size, small to medium size. They don't have that foundation to build their program. They don't have the foundation to do their own analytics. So they reach out to Springbig, to Philo, right, and they partner with Blaze, right, so they can get that data going. Otherwise, it takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of resources to build that. Oh, they use even Google Analytics. You need to have that hookups into their websites, right?
You mentioned about loyalty programs when they're run well can drive 15 to 25% of the top line. And you also talked a little bit about location of customers.
Yeah.
What makes the difference between when you see a loyalty program managed well and one that's abysmal?
Really, I think it's about experience. it's the experience and the accuracy of that data, right? Because even if you create a loyalty program, it doesn't mean that you'll be successful or the customers is satisfied, right? So you need to be able to have the right program in place where when they come back, they can feel that it's personalized to them. Otherwise, they're just another person. Hey, it's a discount for you, right? It doesn't make sense. And you're potentially going blindly, and you still even if you give discounts out, your margin is still going to be low, and you're potentially giving more money away by discounting.
Is that percent increase that you talked about, is there any more transparency to that, i.e. how much of that is new members, how much of that is frequency, monetary value? Just kind of how does that break up into its components, do you know?
I don't know. That's a good question. We should segment that first.
The other one is on the basket. How are the items per transaction, the IPTs?
They're actually pretty good.
Are those steady? So it's just the average
It's the average, yeah. It's
value going down?
the average is a combination. Average retail value are going a bit down, but the COGS are still kind of regular. So your margins are depleting or decreasing a little bit. We're also seeing that there's more discounts, right? So to what we said, you potentially discounting blindly.
When I look at our data sets with Manh, the other thing I see is just people are coming back more frequent, but they're buying less. Is what we're seeing a lot too.
The items per transaction aren't changing, or they are changing?
It depends on the market. To be fully frank with you. So yeah, I've seen it definitely at least in California quite a bit. There's items per cart. I think they're about 1.75 or almost 2 units per cart. So it's been pretty
regular.
But
Yeah.
what they're choosing is the most expensive brand, the discounted brand. We're seeing a lot of that kind of behavior.
Or maybe instead of
For new retailers, like brand new, do you have a recommendation of when to set up a loyalty program? Like should it be right out the gate, or should they wait to see some of the data, understand how to structure that loyalty program?
So without you can have initial data somewhere, but every single dispensary is a bit different, right? So your location can be a bit different than somewhere else, and your consumer base can act differently. So until you have that, you could create a loyalty program, but you may not be able to be as successful as if you have the data that you need.
I'm curious to ask about discounting decomposition.
Mhm.
So we've talked about loyalty, we've talked about promotional discounts and so forth. But there's also like the actual price of the item.
Mhm.
And so I feel that this kind of goes back to your talk, Chris, on your panel on integrations. As it relates to, are we even capturing a promotion on top of the actual price from a data schema perspective? But going further than that, in terms of game theory for retailers trying to sort of steal market share from each other, it almost feels like if I'm not heavily discounting all my stuff, my competitor will and might take me out of business.
Yeah.
So A, I'm curious about the sophistication from a data perspective, and B, the repercussions of not doing something.
So everyone likes discounts, like literally everyone. It's like consumer theory, right? So even if you have like the same price, the moment you have a discount, people jump in, and especially regardless of what the price is, right? They'll say, hey, 50% off, but in actuality, it's still the same price at a different company or a different shop. But the fact that it's a discount, it's a dash, crossover 50% off kind of deal. In general, people tend to just prefer.
I have a question. What about something that we noticed was the difference between when prices are being listed online versus in store cannabis, and kind of this concept of out the door pricing for in store versus
Right.
different prices online. Can you speak a little bit about that, and how like, is there some data enrichment problem or opportunity there? It's just very confusing, I think, to see.
At least in Blaze, I didn't see discrepancies between the prices online versus prices in store. What I do see is, I think one of the reasons why the cart value for delivery is so higher is because there's a add-on convenience fee on that order, and that really raised the price up. But I didn't see a difference at all.
I think what we've seen is that typically like online prices might be lower because it's much easier for me as a consumer on my computer to like switch from one dispensary to another online versus if I'm already at the store. Like I'm already there. I'm not gonna like be like, oh, this is $2 more expensive than I thought. Like just gonna I'm there, I'm gonna
That's
buy it.
interesting.
Yeah,
That's with all the data sources you've gathered.
I think so.
Go ahead.
What is your like vision for like data insight or like Blaze Insights? Because it seems like it could be just exploratory in nature, or it could just actually be used as a tool to help like drive insights for specific like dispensaries and help like kind of triage if there's any issues or like there's any like things that are like negatively trending or even positively trending.
So we have huge plans for Blaze Insights, grandiose plans sometimes, but really big plans. But the thought is to be able to tie it in to what Blaze offers, right? So if you're able to say, hey, your sales are this way, or your inventory is low, now it's time to order more, and be able to like press a button, hook up into your the Blaze program, and be able to like immediately buy what you need or pre-buy your inventory accordingly. So you get that kind of different algorithm. In a grandiose form, we do have means to offer more premium package of like seeing insights across the states or across the country. That's still kind of discussed.
Just to jump on that,
Yeah.
I think for us 2 months talking a lot about data enrichment, not many even MSOs are doing that today, right? Like, can you tell me your average customer and how much they make? Do they have kids? What kind of car do they drive?
Yeah.
Like, can they actually tell you that? And the answer is no. And so we want to look at other data sources to bring into Blaze Insights and use that as kind of the data repository to start stacking other data sources on top and actually seeing if there's correlation between.
Does content that is related to, let's say, a specific product from a specific brand, does that count as enriched data? Because I think a problem that we've been talking about here is that there is inconsistency about different products. So, you know, is the product description a photo? Are these things, does that count as?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, because it doesn't, to me, that does not affect the sales of the product as much as compared to if you're enriching the consumer profile.
I see.
Well, the photo does.
One question.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of given. To me, if you don't have a photo,
I see a stock photo.
absolutely.
I have no idea whether that's actually what the weed will look like or not, because it's clearly a stock. photo.
Absolutely.
I see another one right above it and so.
Most online, all the online clients that we have, they make sure that every single product have photos, whether they're stock or not, whether they come from a brand, it is a different question, but they should have some sort of photo per each product. Looks like I'm out of time.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks, guys.